The Pittsburgh Steelers nearly landed wide receiver Brandon Ayuk via trade ahead of the 2024 season, an acquisition that would have dramatically reshaped the team's offensive identity. Now, nearly 2 seasons later, it appears the window of opportunity may be reopening, albeit under very different, far more complicated circumstances. According to The Athletic's Diana Rossini, the San Francisco 49ers and Ayuk are tracking toward what seems to be an inevitable parting of ways, despite both sides previously agreeing to a 4-year, $120 million extension just a year ago, a deal that at the time seemed to cement Ayuk's long-term future with the franchise. It's now likely that the 27-year-old has played his last game with the franchise, Rossini reported, citing numerous sources with direct knowledge of the situation who spoke anonymously due to the sensitive nature of the ongoing saga. While some within the organization reportedly still cling to hope that the relationship can be salvaged enough for him to return before the end of the current season, the overarching sentiment among league insiders suggests the likelihood of reconciliation is extremely low. The rift between Ayuk and the 49ers has deepened over months, creating internal frustration, organizational fatigue, and ultimately forcing conversations about an exit that no one expected so soon after committing major financial resources to him. Ayuk, who has not played a snap this season due to a devastating combination injury, tearing his ACL, MCL, and meniscus during Week 7 of the 2024 campaign, has reportedly missed multiple meetings and declined participation in various team activities throughout recent months. This lack of communication has been a major point of irritation for San Francisco's front office and coaching staff. Ayuk's absence from team functions was initially interpreted as part of his recovery process, but as time passed and communication became increasingly intermittent, patience within the organization eroded. Turning up the tension, sources explained that the 49ers have grown increasingly frustrated with his disengagement, raising deeper questions about accountability and long-term reliability. The dysfunction hit a critical milestone when, per Rossini, the 49ers voided the guarantees in Ayuk's contract for the 2026 season. Normally, voiding guarantees in a recent mega extension is a drastic move, signaling a breakdown not just in communication but in trust. The decision came after team officials determined that Ayuk had failed to meet obligations outlined in his contract, commitments related not to on-field performance, which injuries obviously hindered, but to conduct, presence, and engagement with team responsibilities. Surprisingly, Ayuk reportedly has no intention of filing a grievance against the voided guarantees, a detail that suggests both sides may be quietly preparing for an orderly separation rather than a prolonged, messy dispute. This gesture, or resignation, essentially clears the narrower legal pathways between Ayuk and true free agency. In voiding Ayuk's future guarantees, the 49ers can recover a significant portion of the contract, Rossini reported. His 2026 option bonus alone was set to pay $24.935 million, and he was due an additional $1.215 million base salary, a $100,000 workout bonus, and per-game roster bonuses that totaled another $750,000. With the guarantees voided, the 49ers free themselves from financial risk and recover substantial cap flexibility, while Ayuk's contractual path toward the open market becomes clearer and less entangled. From the Steelers' perspective, the developments reopen an old door, one they came remarkably close to walking through. Pittsburgh had emerged as one of the primary contenders in the Ayuk sweepstakes late in the 2024 preseason. After months of subtle and not-so-subtle signaling from Ayuk that he was dissatisfied with his role and contract structure, the Steelers were among the handful of teams who aggressively pursued a trade. Reports at the time suggested the Steelers were inches away from finalizing a deal that would have added Ayuk to a receiving room undergoing transition, especially following the trade of Deontay Johnson. However, as negotiations progressed and tensions cooled temporarily, Ayuk ultimately chose stability, or what appeared to be stability, by signing the aforementioned extension with San Francisco. In hindsight, the Steelers may have dodged a major complication. Ayuk's talent is undeniable. In 2023, he produced 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns on just 75 receptions, a season that established him as one of the premier route runners and big play threats in the league. His efficiency, ball tracking ability, separation skills, and fluid acceleration made him a nightmare for opposing defenses. He consistently demonstrated the capacity to elevate an offense with his ability to win one-on-one matchups, stretch the field, and force defensive coordinators into uncomfortable coverages. But football is more than production. It is also leadership, presence, professionalism, and alignment with organizational philosophy. The issues emerging around Aiyuk, including prolonged communication lapses, absences from team meetings, and an apparent reluctance to engage with recovery expectations, raise legitimate questions about whether his introduction into a new locker room could bring similar complications. For the Steelers, whose organizational identity centers around discipline, consistency, and cultural continuity, character matters as much as talent. Every decision Tomlin, Khan, and Rooney weigh includes the fit not only on the field but within the culture. Furthermore, Aiyuk's injury cannot be overlooked. An ACL, MCL, and meniscus tear is a catastrophic combination, one of the most severe knee injuries a player can suffer. Recovery timelines vary widely, and while modern medical advancements have accelerated rehabs, the explosiveness and agility required by an elite receiver make such recoveries unpredictable. Additionally, if a player's engagement with rehab is already in question, teams become even more hesitant to gamble premium money on uncertain returns. Nevertheless, Aiyuk will have suitors if, or when, he hits free agency. Teams starving for a WR1 caliber playmaker will overlook behavioral concerns if they believe the culture of their locker room can absorb him. The league rarely hesitates to take chances on high-end talent. But others may hesitate, especially given the optics of a franchise as stable and player-friendly as the 49ers, growing frustrated enough to void guarantees and quietly prepare for separation. As for Pittsburgh, the calculus is complex. The Steelers clearly admired Aiyuk's talent last year, enough to pursue him aggressively. His skill set would uplift any offense, and his ability to separate vertically and on intermediate routes aligns perfectly with the type of receivers Pittsburgh historically values. But with Aiyuk's situation now muddled by two new variables, significant behavior concerns and significant injury concerns, the Steelers might choose a more cautious, measured approach this time. The Steelers' receiving core is in the midst of its own evolution. George Pickens continues to demonstrate star-level potential but remains volatile, sometimes brilliant, sometimes inconsistent. Rookie additions and depth signings have added potential but not yet fully realized production. Adding a star of Aiyuk's caliber could transform the offensive structure, giving Pittsburgh a dynamic pairing that could rival some of the best duos in the AFC. But the question becomes, at what cost, financially and culturally? Aiyuk's journey from contract extension to organizational estrangement also raises questions about trust and long-term stability. NFL franchises value reliability, the ability to depend on a player not just on game days but throughout the season, in meetings, in rehab sessions, and in countless unseen moments. Aiyuk's talent might outweigh the risk for some clubs, but Pittsburgh has historically prioritized locker room harmony at a higher level than most. In the end, the Steelers may have lucked out by not landing Aiyuk in 2024, sparing themselves from becoming entangled in the unfolding drama currently engulfing the 49ers. Still, the organization undoubtedly remains intrigued by what Aiyuk, when healthy and engaged, could bring to their offense. If Pittsburgh does choose to re-enter the sweepstakes, they will do so with fuller knowledge and a much more conservative mindset, balancing opportunity with caution, talent with character, and upside with risk. For now, Aiyuk's future remains suspended in uncertainty, and while the Steelers watch the situation carefully, the team will move forward with the understanding that any recruitment or pursuit must be aligned with their broader, long-term vision. The door is not closed, but it is no longer wide open. Whether Pittsburgh decides to knock again remains a question for the months ahead. Comment if you think the Steelers should look to invest in Brandon Aiyuk. Thanks for watching and see you next time.